Well, welcome to Emerge with Purpose. My name is Garfield Harvey, and today we're talking about how to cultivate a learning environment. Today we're exploring this aspect of growth that often gets overlooked, and that's our environment. When it comes to developing this growth mindset, we can't ignore the impact of our surroundings, whether it's the people we spend time with, the media we consume, and even the spaces where we live and where we work. All these things, they help to shape the mindset or even influence our ability to grow. Now, you might have heard the saying where you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But beyond people, think about what fills your daily life. Is it content that inspires and challenges you, or is it the negative voices that hold you back? And so today we're going to look at how to create a learning environment that supports growth and it promotes accountability. At the same time, it keeps us focused on God's purpose for our lives. As always, I invite you to share this stream. Let someone know that Emerge with Purpose is on, and I'll be right back after this brief intro video. Well, welcome back to Emerge with Purpose. My name is Garfield Harvey. And again, today we're talking about what it means to have a growth-friendly environment. And so let's start by defining what it means to have this type of environment. This is more than just a physical space. It's a collection of influences in your life that either promote growth or discourage it. For example, I'm in my office. This is a physical space. I have tools that I use. But I also need the right influences, whether it's from my wife or from the coaches that coach me in different areas of my life. I need these things to help me because it encourages my growth. When I was talking to one of my coaches this morning, the first thing he said was, I appreciate the work that you're doing in the Berkeley area. That's something that encourages you. You want to have that environment. So a growth-friendly environment, it encourages you to take a risk, but also learn from mistakes and keep moving forward. One of the things that the coach pointed out to me was making little tweaks to how I communicate certain things concerning the vision of the church. And so these environments is filled with people who want the best for you, who encourage you to go deeper in your faith, pursue your dreams, and become more of who God created you to be. And so in contrast, a limiting environment is one that keeps you stagnant. There's no growth, there's no movement. It is what you get. You're right there, plateaued, nothing else is gonna happen. So it may include people who they're overly critical of what you're doing. And of course, I talk about media a lot. Obviously, this is a part of media. But media can also make you doubt your worth, which is why I try to bring a contrast to something that lifts you up. So media has the opportunity to make you doubt your worth, or spaces that can also drain your energy. And so in 1 Corinthians 15:33, here's what Paul says. Paul says, do not be misled, or in other versions might say, do not be deceived, but do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. Bad company corrupts good character. So this verse, it is highlighting that our environment, it shapes us, and sometimes in ways we don't even realize. And so for us to grow, we need an environment that aligns with our values, our goals, and our faith. And so it's important for us to have values. Do you have personal values? We often talk about our goals and our dreams and the things we're pursuing. We talk about our faith. But what about the values? What about the things that will cause you to choose faith over something else? The things that will cause you to really consider, are you going along the right path? So we all need to have good values. So to grow, we need an environment that aligns with our values. There are things that are in our lives that will say it's conducive to where we're going. So bad company corrupts good character. And you need some good values in your life because those good values will help shape the company that you're in. And so one of the most important factors in any learning environment is the people we surround ourselves with. And so the Bible often speaks about the power of community. And that's the reason why I talk so much about community, the power of community. Proverbs 27 verse 17 says something along the lines of, as iron sharpens iron, and so another person sharpens another person, right? And so growth is not this solo journey. It happens best in community, a community where we can support each other, we can challenge each other, we can hold each other accountable. I know that can be a trigger word, accountable, right? Or accountability. But think about the people in your life. Are they people who inspire you to grow? Do they encourage you to develop your gifts, or do they hold you back with negativity? I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what you think, it's never going to happen, or that's too difficult for you to do. Or do you have people in your lives who are more saying, hey, that might seem like a tall task, but I believe you can do it? What does your company look like? So surrounding yourself with people who have this growth mindset can make all the difference in the world, because these are the people who will celebrate your successes. They'll challenge your doubts, and they'll remind you of God's faithfulness when you feel like giving up. So if you don't have people like that in your life, consider joining some kind of a small group, whether it's a small group in your church for a faith community, or even a positive small group outside your church community, or even a Bible study, or even an online community where growth is valued. And so when my wife and I couldn't find enough coaches around, we found other smaller communities. We found things that allowed us to feel a part of something greater, a space where people can encourage us, a space where people can help us when our faith it seems too small, or even when we're like, God, what are you doing? We have the people around us to say, keep going, remember God's faithfulness. So you need people like that in your life. Now, another critical part of our environment is the content in which we consume. And so in today's world, we're constantly surrounded by media, news media, social media, entertainment, and the list goes on and on and on. And the messages we receive from these sources, they can either build us up, or they can tear us down, make us feel like we're the worst ever, and that life and the world is falling apart, and woe is me, and what are you going to do? And sometimes you have to stay away from those things because they're just so negative. Like, give me something positive, give me something to hold on to, because sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm trusting God, I'm believing God, and then you watch the news, and the news tell you, oh, the stock market's going to crash and the world's going to fall apart, and before you know, you're like, I felt so good over here, but now I feel so way down over here. And so it just, what are you consuming? Philippians 4 verse 8, it says this: finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Take a moment to consider what kind of content fills your life. Are you constantly scrolling through social media and comparing yourself with others? Or are you reading things that make you feel anxious? Or Are you filling your mind with things that are inspiring and educational and faith building? Because creating a learning environment, it sometimes means setting boundaries with the things that you consume. It might mean following people who encourage you in your faith, or even setting limits on how much time you spend online. And so physical space is one thing, but also these other aspects of your learning environment for growth, not just in the classroom, but just the things that we consume. But speaking about physical space is also important, plays a huge role in promoting a growth mindset. Our surroundings can impact our mood, our focus, and even our motivation. And so one of the reasons why I like having this desk, so I have an ergonomics desk that's here, which was given to by one of a friend of mine that lives in LA. And so in my office, I have this desk over here where I can sit. And every once in a while I stand by my desk, and every once in a while I sit on the couch over there. And so I have these spaces that allows me to think differently. That's just how it works for me. There are days when I'm in the prayer chapel or I'm in the sanctuary space. So all these physical spaces, they help me to think differently. And so having a physical space or the surrounding, it impacts your mood, your focus, or even your motivation. So whenever I'm thinking about the church and our Sunday services, I like to sit in the sanctuary. Sit there, I can see things visually. I'm envisioning people walking through the doors. I'm envisioning people getting saved. So I'm praying about praying over the seats. I'm thinking about our worship service. And then there are days when I'm in the prayer chapel praying about the needs of our members, praying about the prayer request that comes in, and praying for the church, just constantly focusing on just the spiritual things of the church. And then other days I'm sitting right here at my desk and I'm zoned in, just working on sermons or just writing. Then other days I'm standing over there. I have my other monitor where I'm working on just strategic things for the church. So all these things, it creates the right kind of focus for me. So think about the spaces where you spend most of your time. Are they cluttered or chaotic? Do they make it difficult for you to focus? Or is it organized and peaceful, helping you feel energized and ready to take on the challenges? And so when I walk into my office, I like having this space. As you can see, it's very clean. Nothing is on my desk whatsoever. Having a space that feels peaceful. It helped me feel energized and ready to take on the world. I was here after 8 this morning, getting ready for my 8:30 meeting. So a space like this is conducive. So creating a physical environment that supports your growth, it doesn't require a big budget, right? It can be as simple as setting up a quiet corner for reading and praying, or putting up inspiring verses or quotes or on your walls, or organizing your space to reduce distraction. Over here, what you're seeing is actually a map, because I like having these things around whether it's the global map to see the world that we want to impact as a church, or even a small paper of the, I don't want to get up right now and show it to you, but I like to see the cities, the areas that God is calling this church to impact. And so I like having these things around me, things that will keep me motivated. And so when our space reflects our intentions, it can make a big difference in our mindset. And remember, God cares about even the small details of our lives. And so we are inviting Him into the process of creating a growth-friendly space that can be very powerful for us. So whenever I enter a space, I'm inviting God to be a part of that space regarding the mood that I'm in. Now, another aspect of cultivating a learning environment is engaging with communities that value growth. This might look like joining, again, a group where people are committed to personal and spiritual development, which is why we often talk, or you might hear me talk about getting a part of a church small group, because that's important for your personal and spiritual development. Because in the early church, we see this powerful example of community. In Acts 2, verses 42 to 47, the believers were devoted to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, and prayer. And so they were continuously encouraging one another, and they were sharing resources, and they grew together in faith. And so a growth mindset or a growth-oriented community is a place where you feel safe to be yourself, where people are committed to learning and where your faith can feel nurtured, right? And so you have to look for these groups that will encourage not just where you are, but where you intend to go. And so find yourself a community of people that will grow you into what God is calling you to be. And when we connect with other people, another community, that's actually on the same journey, it reminds us that we're not alone in our challenges, and we can learn from one another and support and encourage one another. Because sometimes you get to hear them say, hey, listen, here's the challenge that I'm experiencing, and you're like, really? You too? And so it's good to be around like-minded people. So now let's bring this idea down to a practical level. I wanted to take a moment, even after this broadcast, and to assess your current environment. Start with the people around you, not just the physical space, but start with the people around you. Who are the top 5 people you spend the most time with, and how do they influence your mindset? I'm not asking you to compare yourself with them. I'm asking you to assess how do they influence your mindset. It's a difference between saying these people are so much advanced from where you are, and to say these people are so much advanced than where I am, but they're also encouraging me to get higher. Because there's a big difference in saying, oh man, they're so far up and I'm the little one down here. I'm down here, they're up here. But if you're down here, they're up here, do they lift your lid to bring up a little bit? So who are those 5 people in your life? Assess that, and how do they influence your mindset? And then think about the content you consume. Are there sources that bring you down or make you doubt your value? I love podcasts. I love podcasts that are healthy. So think about the things you consume. So think about the people, think about the content you consume, and finally consider your physical space. I know it would have been easy for me to say, look around you where you are. Is this the ideal space? But that might just make you feel like, I'm so discouraged. But first, consider the people in your life. It's easy to clean a room. It is easy to make it look clean and feel clean. But it's not so easy with the people around you, is it? So think about that. Think about the people in your life. Are they influencing you with this growth mindset? Think about the content you consume. Is it bringing you down or is it lifting the lid? And how's your physical space? Is there one small change you need to make in order to make your environment growth friendly? Ask yourself those questions. So this week I'm going to challenge you to make at least one intentional change. Maybe it's setting boundaries with negative influences, spending more time with people who inspire you, or even creating a peaceful space for prayer and reflection. So just do one change this week. Can you do that? Yes? Put yes in the chat if you can do that. Yeah? One change this week that will influence this growth environment. Because these small changes can have a big impact in your life, right? So as we work on cultivating a learning environment, let's not forget to invite God into the process. As Psalm 16:8, I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. So when we keep our focus on God, he's the one that will guide us. He's the one that will strengthen us. And he's the one that will help us to discern what's beneficial for our growth. So pray and ask God to reveal areas in your lives, areas in your environment that needs this change. And he might show you relationships that need adjusting or habits that need replacing. So trust that God is with you in every step of the way. And so but it starts with you inviting him, inviting God into those spaces, right? Let me pray with you. Lord, just thank you for who you are, your love, your grace, your peace. Thank you, Lord God, for the reminder that you are with us every step of the way. Help us to recognize the things or the people that influence our growth in you. And if the things are not right, help us to make the adjustment. Thank you for being with us always. We love you and give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen. So remember that cultivating a growth mindset, especially a growth-friendly environment, I should say, it's an ongoing process. It's about making choices every day that support your goals and is honor your values, but also deepen your faith. So surround yourself with people who will sharpen you, will encourage you, will lift you up, and create spaces that inspire peace and focus. When we align our environment with God's purpose for our lives, we're setting ourselves up for a meaningful and lasting growth. Listen, as always, I invite you to join us for one of our services on Sundays, 1:30 p.m. So if you're ever in the Berkeley area, we meet every Sunday at 1:30 p.m., 2515 Hillegas Ave, 2515 Hillegas Ave. And if you ever forget to spell that, you can just visit emergeberkeley.org. And we meet every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. We'd love for you to join us to see more about what God is doing in and through our church. And also, if you visit our website, you'll also see our upcoming events, things that we're doing in the Berkeley area. And if you're far away, you can also watch us live. So again, everything you can find on our website, emergeberkeley.org. We'd love for you to get connected to what God is doing in the city of Berkeley. My family and I believe that God has called us to be here to make a difference, and we'd love for you to be praying with us, supporting the ministry financially if God impresses on your heart. But prayer is always important. And listen, I'm crazy to believe that God might even be calling some of you to move from wherever you're living to be with us for a season to help us reach the people here in the Bay Area. And so until next week, let's just stay connected to what God is doing. And I'd love to see you for another edition of Emerge with Purpose. God bless you.